Hello, hi, welcome to Travelweek webinars. Today we have a very exciting webinar for all you agents out there. Israel's here today to join us, and they are the first long-haul post-COVID destination. We have Hana, he's the director for Canada at the Israel Ministry of Tourism, and we have Sharif Zoiba, sales manager at Nazarene Tours. Just a few little housekeeping notes before we get started. Agents, if you have any questions, please type them in the Q&A box and we're going to address them at the end. The chat is only going to be used if you have any technical difficulties. Put your concern in there and we'll get back to you and help you out. And please stick around until the end of the webinar because we're going to be announcing the prize. And to win the prize, you have to stay for the entire webinar. So let's get started. Gal, I'll hand it over to you.
Hi, so thank you very much. And hello, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join and hear the recent news from Israel. My name is Hana, and I'm the Israeli Consul of Tourism for Canada. I came here exactly a year ago, and it's been a crazy year. I never thought that my first year would be without tourists, actually, but we do wait patiently and can't wait to welcome you all back. It's a quite different time. The world changed, and I think that we all should adapt and evolve and to see some positive outcomes as well from this time. My main goal here will be to elaborate about the pandemic status in Israel, our future plans as the Ministry of Tourism and the State of Israel in regards of why Israel is such as a great potential for 2021 and even for Q4 2020. I don't know how many of you know the fact that 2020 started very strong for Israel, and the last January was the highest number ever in history when it comes to Israel as a destination. I will just share my screen now with all of you. Okay, here. Just a second. Okay. So everyone we'll start with the COVID-19 situation. So everyone refer to the new normal, and it's important to give your client and yourself the sense of safety when they will book their vacation. To start with, Israel dealt with the COVID-19 very, very well. And we got a world recognition for doing so. You may heard that the second wave hit hard of the pandemic, but some important messages that you need to be aware of is that our Ministry of Health has more strict measurement on how we count every patient, and that's why the numbers are a little bit higher. It's crucial to know that in Israel the actual patients are very low and people are relatively safe, and the industry kicked off a month ago already. On top of that, just like in the beginning, we prefer to be more safe. So we are making things more strict in order to open soon. Opening the borders too soon may collapse and like any other country system, and we want to make sure we are avoiding that. We were fast to close our borders, and by that, to maintain the outbreak, we set some quarantine to reduce the risk potential, and we took many precautions on top of that as well. We also worked very closely with the industry and the Ministry of Health to set some directives, health and sanitary directives to open the tourism industry, from how rooms should be cleaned and how many people in the pool and how food should be served. We made it very thorough, so due to the fact that it's been a month since we opened the domestic tourism, things evolved and even better. As opposed to a month ago, we now have breakfast, for example, served in the main room. The service is better. The industry promoted an agile approach and adapted to the new situation very well. And I think that this last month experience will be on our behalf in the near future, when we will be able to welcome more and more tourists to Israel. Now, I think that it's a crucial time in history when tourism should be addressed as something more than just a leisure part. And before we dive to Israel, I want to take the opportunity for something small and important for myself, at least. In the recent years, we witnessed the destruction of landscapes, the nature collapse, extinction of species in the nature, exclusivity of people traveling, and more. The tourism sector has a great potential to raise the awareness for sustainability issues, for improving and maintaining labor laws, as tourism is a low-income and unskilled industry, and accessibility topics, to make all the world a better place, to share the opportunity and equal place and more. We have opportunity to promote, first time in history, the adoption of more beaches and promenades to accessible people. Now is ideal time to make it obvious that restaurants, hotels, attractions should have the option for accessible audience to take part. The tourism industry has the solely opportunity for individual and SMBs to economically flourish outside of the city centers. The geographically spread of tourism is not only an opportunity, but it's a necessity. We can't come back to the images that we saw in the Great Wall of China, in the old city of Jerusalem, in London, where so many people were crowding in the same places. We need to shift the demands to a more broader places. The damage to the environment is catastrophic. We saw beaches closing down in Thailand. We have the obligation to make sure that tourism industry will be much more than what it used to be. And I think that we are in a turning point, and we should leverage our and your responsibilities to something broader than what it used to be in the last past. Now let's get the show on the road and for things that we came here to do. So Israel is really, it's my favorite place in the world, together with Canada. Obviously, I've been exploring this amazing country, Canada, in the last year. I'm planning to go to the West Coast as well. It's an amazing country, but to start with, and just to give you a little bit of a geographically orientation, Israel is located in the Mediterranean. The weather is great all year long. The temperature of the water is ideal 365 days a year, and you can go to the water all year long. It's like an unwritten rule. Where else you can find so many cultures, so many landscapes, fabulous cuisine, overwhelming landscapes. And again, I think that that's what makes Israel so unique destination. The driving 30 minutes from one place to the other is something unique that you can't find anywhere else in the world. To taste the hummus in Ramle, to walk in the church where Napoleon spent the night when he came to Israel, drive to Haifa and eat knafe, a delicious cheese pastry, and walk on the Baha'i Garden, or to go to Baha'i Garden in Haifa, one of the most amazing gardens nurtured by so many best skilled gardeners in the world. Walk through the Jerusalem gates, being transported back in time to an ancient history, to our history, all of us, whether you are a Muslim, a Christian, or Jew, or just stroll in Tel Aviv, to embrace the vibrant non-city vibe. I can't start to describe how unique the experience you will get. You must go and see for yourself. My lifetime stories reflects in some way the values of visiting Israel. Iconic holy sites to make the trip to be unforgettable. Great beaches to utilize the weather, diverse culinary scene, one-of-a-kind experiences such as the kibbutz, the Dead Sea, UNESCO sites, and more. And I guess this is what makes Israel so unique, the combination of landscape, rich history, cultures within a small area. Now, how small? For Canadian, it's hard to comprehend how tiny Israel is. Imagine living in a country in the size of Lake Ontario. That's the size of Israel, where you can go from one place to the other within a few hours drive. I'm going on a weekend, 3 hours to the Blue Mountain resorts. And when I'm saying that to my colleagues and friends and family in Israel, they are saying that I'm nuts, because in Israel, it's basically to cross the country, where you can go from one place to the other within a couple of hours, no flights needed. Cover such a diverse landscape within your car. Tel Aviv, the North, Masada, Jerusalem, all in a couple of hours drive. For someone in Toronto, it's like basically going from uptown to downtown. The value is great. In the morning, you can go to see the history in Jerusalem, and in the afternoon, you can go hiking in the Tel Aviv promenade and to see the sunset. Depict yourself skiing in the morning and hiking in the desert the next day. The luxury of the size holds the opportunity that no other destination will give you without doing any long haul flight or a lot of hours driving. It means that your client will have one journey of a lifetime with multiple motivations in one long haul. Usually as a tourist, you need to prioritize where you want to go next year, whether it's a sun escape destination, a culture, a culinary. In Israel, you can get the full bundle in one place. And now imagine that you have a country, tiny at size, that collaborate between landscapes, culinary, attractions, religious and historic iconic sites, and more. Now, I think that really Israel, there is no other place that offers as many as attractions and emotionally inspiring sites in a single square kilometer. When it comes to practice your belief, where would it be better than the actual sites that you heard and read so much about? One example is a tour to the old city of Jerusalem, which holds the opportunity to get lost among magical walkways and connect with the city resembling past, history, culture, and spirituality. You must walk along the ancient stone walls, encountering breathtakingly beautiful and historically rich views of the surrounding sites, local attractions, and everyday occurrences. Taking a walk on the old city walls or visiting the Tower of David Museum, where history comes alive through sounds and light, will only magnify the sheer beauty and significance the cobblestone you tread upon. There are countless meaningful places across Israel. In the Negev, UNESCO honored Masada as a symbol of the Jewish cultural identity and one of the human struggle for freedom from oppression. Masada construction by Herod the Great is also considered an extraordinary example of an early Roman villa. And the Roman siege walk surrounding the plateau are the most complete in the world. UNESCO is also determined that the biblical tales of Megiddo, Chatzor, Beersheba are also testimony for a cultural exchange along a major ancient highways. Israel is not like hiking or going to a museum. Israel is like being the archaeologist. In many places, you can go to see and to witness history. In Israel, you are part of the story. For an example, a vast city around 5,000 years ago, the largest and the most central ever uncovered in Israel was uncovered during extensive excavations. The excavation revealed a city stretching over 650 dunams, accommodating around 6,000 inhabitants. Some major parts of the excavations were being discovered by tourists who wanted to take part of archaeology digging. And they found unique parts that they couldn't find anywhere else in the world. Imagine to find or to share with your client the opportunity to find a coin from an ancient era. Wouldn't it be something unique, something that will blow their mind off, something that will make the trip had some meaning, the once of a lifetime experience? When it comes to get out of your comfort zone or just reconnect to your inner self, Israel is the ideal place to do so. The Israeli desert, the south, is one out of the place. It's a Martian landscape, ultimate for places for both wellness or sustainability, more relaxing vibe, but also for the adventurous types. With the amazing natural wonders and beauty, the South boasts magnificent views that are guaranteed to take your breath away from sunrise to sunset. There is so much to see and to do over there. There are many extraordinary geological marvels, significant historic landmarks, and wonderful nature reserves, where you can go hiking, cycling, and even camel riding, or enjoy the adrenaline-charged safari rides in the desert. On the one hand, you can get into the one of the best resorts you can find, which highlight the view, offer the deluxe hospitality and accommodation, and extreme wellness experience. And on the other hand, you can go for a more of authentic Bedouin hospitality opportunity, for example, to do some sandboarding and to explore the wonderful desert magic. Pure joy, really. Now, the Dead Sea is one of the most unique natural phenomena on the planet. The surface in the Earth's crust that is part of the Great Rift Valley allows the water of the River Jordan to flow south into the lake at the lowest point on our planet. Not only in Israel, on our planet. With no outlet, the rays of the blazing sun evaporates to the Jordan water to the point where its mineral content is highly concentrated. And it is this density of minerals and salt that makes it impossible to sink in the water. Bathurst floats effortlessly on the water. Now that's something that I can't even start to describe you. Every once in a while, myself and my wife, and later on with the kids, we used to go to the Dead Sea to show them that you actually float on the water without any effort. It's very hard to forget how cool that is, but it's something amazing. And on top of that, because the sun has to travel an additional 1,200 feet to reach the shore, ultraviolet rays filtered out to the Occident to enrich to the point where even the fairest skins tan but do not burn. This is why the Dead Sea is probably one of the most magnificent natural spa resorts in the world, and people from all over the world are coming to enjoy the natural spa with the unique wonders. Now, most of the northern Israel is generally known as the Galilee in Hebrew. It stretches virtually from the Mediterranean to the hard-shaped Sea of Galilee and the River Jordan, on whose shores vast history had been made. Here in Mount Gilboa, where King Saul and his son Jonathan died in a battle against Philistines. Here in Hatzor, where Deborah killed Sisera. Here in Mount Meron, the grave of Rabbi Hillel. Here in Tzipori, Hamat Veria and Bet Shean and Bet Alpha, gorgeous 1,800-year-old synagogue mosaics have been discovered. Here in Armageddon, Megiddo, where Solomon built his giant stables. As you can see, the north of Israel is very, very green. It includes places such as Caesarea, Haifa, Tiberias, Sfad, and the Golan Heights. A unique cultural groups such as the Druze community and the Druze community and the Baha'i of Haifa. The north, you can find sites from about any era, the Bible, Crusades, Turkish and Ottoman, and even the British Mandate. Now, the Baha'i gardens of Haifa are magnificent. Picture yourself standing on the 19th terrace, which is on the very top of the breathtaking monument, where you can see the strolling hills of the Galilee, the city of Haifa, Akko, and the Mediterranean Sea. Beauty, grandeur, and inspired design combined with the gardening by generation of dedicated gardeners and the variety of cultures created of a unique atmosphere of the Baha'i shrine and the gardens of Haifa. Now, the Roman port in Caesarea is one of Israel's wonders, combining the ancient structures, archaeology, and a picture-perfect harbor, and adapting them for modern use. Built by the Rome governor Pontius Pilatus 2 millennia ago, Caesarea was one of the largest and most magnificent ports in the Mediterranean, with giant piers stretching all into the ocean, all into the Mediterranean to accommodate dozens of ships. Akko won its place thanks to a wonderfully preserved medieval town, both above but not less important below the surface, the street level, and its status as an outstanding example of an Ottoman walled city whose ramparts, with marvelous views of the Mediterranean, you can still walk on. Recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site, visiting Akko promises your visitors an emotional journey to a glorious past and a one-of-a-kind experience. An ancient and wondrous city, Akko boasts many remarkable sites, including the remnants of Hellenistic Roman period, as well as structures from the Crusaders and Ottoman period. Much more historical and archaeological marvel, Akko also has one of the most colorful Oriental markets, museums, beaches, and water sports facilities, a fisherman port, marina, restaurants, hotels, everything you want. All and more are just a few of the city's fantastic tourist attractions. Akko is where, when I wanted to go and take my family on a Saturday, this is where we want to go, to eat something in the local market, to go bath in the sea, in the Mediterranean, and to walk in the old city of Akko. In Akko, you can find a magnificent tour of the halls of the Hospitaller Order fortress from the Crusader period. Discover the amazing remains of an ancient order, the renovated and stunningly reconstructed halls, courtyard, and surrounding streets, and step into a history of a 4,000-year-old story unfolds before you within the halls of the old citadels. In Nazareth, the blend of faith and cultures, you can see the cradle of Christianity comes alive before you. Nazareth offered you an ancient city blending rich history, fascinating archaeology, modern culture, and Mediterranean charm. World-renowned as the childhood home of Jesus, Nazareth is an important site for both pilgrimage, but not only for tourists as well, coming to visit the Basilica of Annunciation. Bustling mini metropolis, Nazareth offers a shop-lined thoroughfares, stone-paved alleys lined with an Ottoman-era mansion, and in recent years has been renovated itself as a sophisticated cultural and culinary destination. Nazareth, by the way, is the city, according to tradition, the angel Gabriel told Mary that she would conceive by the power of the Holy Spirit, and the place where Jesus spent all of his childhood and youth. There are many ancient churches in the Old City, with the Church of Annunciation heading the list. The rebuilt church retained parts of the previous churches from the Crusader and the Byzantine period. The church also houses an impressive collection of paintings. Right next to the Church of Annunciation, you have the Church of St. Joseph, built on the ruins of an agricultural building where, according to the tradition, Joseph, Mary's husband, has his carpentry shop. While in the Church of Annunciation was built on the site of Mary's home, the Greek Orthodox Church of Annunciation built on Mary's well, from which Jesus' mother is said to have drunk. Now, how cool is that, to go to a place where history was being made of, to walk in the same places where Jesus walked, to go to see the places where things really happened. And this is the unique opportunity that you will get in Israel. It's not visiting the museum, it's taking part of history. And now Jerusalem, really, the cornerstone of history. Visiting the old city of Jerusalem is traveling to a mystical, magical new world. Long considered one of the world's holiest and most visited location, and home to the structure and ruins of significant three monotheistic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, a walk through its hollowed passage is an exciting and life-changing source of historic, cultural, and spiritual uplift that one simply must not miss out on. I don't know if you know that, but you actually have a Jerusalem syndrome, where people who comes to Israel and specifically into Jerusalem are so overwhelmed that they can't find themselves. It's that crazy. Now, join the masses of tourists who visits the Jerusalem old city on a daily basis, and you transported back in time. Walk down the way of the cross, visit many ornate local churches, including the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, pay your respects in the Garden of Tomb, whisper a prayer in the Western Wall, the Kotel, take a tour to the underground Kotel tunnel, and step into a very busy Arab marketplace. The structures are sensational. You will take to another era. Enter the old city. From any of the large gates, you will go instantly to an ancient era, complete with an authentic smells, the traditionally dressed locals. No other place offers as many attraction and emotionally inspiring sights in a single square kilometer. A tour to the old city of Jerusalem is an opportunity to get lost among the magical walkways, to connect to the city resemblance, past history, culture, and spirituality. discover the story of Jerusalem during the reign of Kings David, Solomon, and Hezekiah, in the captivating archaeological site where many treasures have been unearthed. A visit to the site, to the city of David, enables you to take a flashlight and wade through the floating water of the Shiloh tunnel, which was carved during the reign of King Hezekiah. The last time I went to Jerusalem, just before we came here to Canada, it was February 2019. It's the winter in Israel, but Israeli winter, it's like a Canadian summer, I guess. It's not very cold. A simple coat would be enough. And we walked to see the City of Lights project, the opportunity to explore the city, surrounded by the ancient walls who rebuilt throughout history, with the 7 gates, with all of those lighting, to see the combination of new and high-tech lightning show on the top, on the old city walls, was something unique, blow-minding, that the kids are still speaking about. While people rave about the amazing atmosphere, the unforgettable sights, the breathtaking views, and more, to truly understand what Jerusalem is all about, you really need, there's things that just come through your stomach. Throngs of local and tourists are drawn during the day to witness the authentic atmosphere and walking on the Mechane Yehuda food market. And of course, to do some shopping. And once the food vendors close up, revelers, foreign and local alike, descend to the market to drink and to marry on the bars, restaurants, and alleyways. The Machane Yehuda market is one of the best food markets you can find anywhere in the world, with the diverse culinary opportunities, from fish to Israel, to falafel, and all to the high-end cuisine, all in one small place, with tons of music, smells, scents, spices, and much more than that. Now, Tel Aviv is probably the craziest and most spectacular city you ever saw. It was hailed as the Mediterranean capital of the cool by the New York Times, and among the Lonely Planet's top 10 action-packed cities. Israel is with no doubt the place to visit, energy-packed, inspirational or fun-filled relaxation. Your holiday to the vibrant city of Tel Aviv can be anything that you want it to be. From great weather virtually all year round, you can chill on the dazzling stretch of the Golden Beaches, take a colorful market, cutting-edge culture and entertainment, outdoor nightlife, and exciting culinary scene. You can also enjoy simply wending your way through the streets with their fascinating Bauhaus building and feel the city unique non-stop vibe. National Geographic magazine called it one of the 10 best beach cities in the world, with the clear water and action-packed beaches. Each one of the Tel Aviv's 16 beaches is now, by the way, accessible for everyone to come. You can have a wheelchair all the way into the beach. Likewise, in the Dead Sea and in some beaches in the Sea of Galilee as well. From hippie casual to Riviera chic. Day or night, hanging out in one of the beaches would be the ideal way to spend your time. Now, pretty much every night in Tel Aviv is a party night. You know, here when you are going in Toronto, at 11 o'clock at night, most things will be closed. In Tel Aviv, that's the time that people are starting to go out. And it's something that I can't even start to describe you, how fun the city look like at 11, at 10 p.m., and even in 2 a.m. in the morning. It's just crazy fun. Young people, old people are just rushing in the promenade, rushing in the different cities, in the white city of Tel Aviv, the biggest Bauhaus neighborhood outside of Germany, to enjoy the culture, the graffiti, art all across Tel Aviv, and more than that. Now, if you are a foodie, and let's face it, most of us are, this is the main motivation, and we see more and more surveys that people tend to decide where they will go next year. in collaboration with their culinary and cuisine preferences. You simply need to get a taste of Tel Aviv. The Israeli chefs have become famous around the world for their innovative dishes, and Tel Aviv culinary scene is absolutely exploding. If you are a food market lovers, you must visit the Carmel market, the city largest, most central located as a hugely popular food market. Go to the gourmet spices heaven, Levinsky market on the south side of the city. The Tel Aviv take pride also in the cuisine, because you may not know that, but Tel Aviv is the vegan capital of the world. We have the most vegan restaurants in the world per capita. The Tel Aviv restaurants took it to the next level. You have so many diverse culinary, vegan opportunities. To know we took it very seriously. And I think that not only that, Tel Aviv is also very famous for its culture and entertainment scene. Home of a fantastic museums, art galleries, theaters, concert halls. The Tel Aviv theater thing, for example, is flourishing, and visitors come to the city to enjoy world-class plays of the city main hall theaters, Habima, Kameri, Gesher. The Tel Aviv Museum of Art is the city's most beautiful designed leading museum of Israeli and international art, containing one of the world's most largest contemporary art collection, featuring a permanent displays, but not only, but a rotating excavation. Now, some of you would say that Israel is a once in a lifetime experience. And I want to share with you that in the last 3 years, we saw more and more people coming back to Israel because they want to re-explore the amazing country. And this is really a slide for the second timers and more sophisticated travelers that don't necessarily want to go to the, I would say, to the iconic and more regular per se sites. Israel is much more than one layer. Their classic and iconic sites are not enough for some of them. And if you want a sick of the off the beaten path alternative, Israel is really the place for you. Either your motivation is religious, cultural, or just to have fun. Believers can hike in the Jesus Trail to reconnect to their belief. It's from Nazareth to the Sea of Galilee. It's 65 to the Capernaum. It's 65-kilometer hiking trail in the Galilee region of the Israel, which connects to the important sites from the life of Jesus. It's not only to go to Nazareth and to see the holy places, it's to actually walk. It's much more of an adrenaline active experience to reconnect to your belief. If your believers want to do their services, they can do their services in Mount Tabor. They can do their services in different churches all across the country. In Akko, for example, you can go and to see, although it's very hard to get tickets, you can go to see a light opera within the old city halls. It's something, it's really a blow mind, and you are going into this ancient halls, thousands of years old, and then within that you sit, you enjoy the light breeze of the south, of the north, the light breeze of the Mediterranean, and you can watch a very, very chic, cutting edge, new light opera to really I guess to better absorb the experience. And some of you doesn't know, but my favorite place to listen to concerts is Zedekiah Cave, Me'arat Tzidkiyahu. This, you are going into a tunnel which is at least 200 meters underneath the ground, and you can hear a music concert. The acoustic is something off charts. It's amazing, and again, it's taking the experience to the next level. You can go to Masada to walk instead of just taking the cable car, which is a unique experience by itself. You can camp at night in the camping site with in our national parks, and then to take a walk all the way on top in the same route where the Romans, when they went into the mountain, they did the same route. And to see the sunset from Masada, that's something that will take your mind away. Or just to go to the Tel Aviv promenade on Friday to see the Jewish service in a more of a new, authentic opportunity. When we had the Eurovision last year, they did the service in ABBA song version. And again, every week they are doing it something more unique, something, it's never the same. And again, I think that's the real way to explore a country. And about the product, I think that, we have almost every big chain in Israel has their chain, that the accommodation and hospitality opportunities are diverse, from Bedouin tents to high-end hotels. We have Six Senses Resort, ultra deluxe resort is just going to be reopened in the desert. We have, next to that, we have Bereshit, the Genesis Hotel, which also represent a very, very high-end hotel. We have hotels in a different way, layers all across Israel. When we just kicked off the domestic travel that I mentioned in the beginning, 30% of the hotels have reopened, and we have about 90% occupancy rates in some of them. Your clients can get every kind of an hospitality solution that they want in Israel, from something more affordable to something more expensive and luxurious. And to conclude my messages, why I honestly think that Israel is the best long-haul destination once the borders will be reopened is that in Canada, we have 400,000 Canadian and Israeli audience that are going on a regular basis to Israel. 30% of the traffic to Israel are VFRs. We see an increased interest in Israel in the last few years. We have 33% uprise in tourism from 2016 to 2019. As I said, January 2020 was the best January in history. And I think that the potential in the target market is strong. The faith-based is very resilient. We know that the demand is out there. We are getting calls more and more about asking us when they would be able to travel. When it comes to the product, Israel is outdoor-oriented destination. Most of the experiences is out. It's very easy to keep social distancing. It's very easy to get along. It's a Western country. The positive perception makes Israel perceived as a very safe destination, and that's true. And the religious landmarks, we invested, I think, at least a couple of billions in the last few years to make it more accessible, to elevate every destination. And in general, I think that the Canadian, as opposed to what it used to be up until 3 months ago, in North America, I think that Canada will set the demand. Canada will set the future trends in travel, because Canada will be the first one to recover in North America. And when it comes to that, the Canadian government gave a very, very good financial aid. So people are still considering traveling abroad, as opposed to the US, when they are unfortunately still focusing on dealing with the pandemic. We have diverse direct and non-direct flight, both from Toronto and from Montreal, with El Al in the near future, Air Canada already, and maybe some more. And as I said, the general interest is out there. The Israeli industry is probably one of the best tourism industries out there. And we can't wait to welcome you very, very soon. I would conclude that you are more than welcome to reach us. We have, in our website, we have tons of images, videos for your disposal, some information. And I would pass the torch right now to my friend and colleague, Sharif, from Nazarene Tours, to continue the presentation.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me, and thank you for your time. Gal spoke mostly about the interesting stuff, and next time we will change the roles. Okay, just a brief introduction. My name is Sharif Zabi. I'm the sales manager of Nazarene Tours, in charge of the North American market. A brief introduction about our company. Okay, the Nazarene Tours is part of the Afifi Group, and it was established in the 1920s. It's a family-owned business. consists of 18 companies, ranging from transportation, public and private, tourism, hotels, IT, real estate. It employs around 2,000 employees from various backgrounds, Christian, Muslim, and Jewish. It's a perfect company to show the picture of Israel. And we own more than 900 buses in our fleet. Nazarene Tours, the travel agency, was established in the mid-70s. We have over 40. Last year, we celebrated 45 years. We have a lot of experience in the field. Our staff has many years of experience, ranging from actual 45 until 10 years of experience. We are members of IATA, USTOA, and we strive to offer all our clients a high quality arrangement in Israel and around it. Gal talked about Israel being a small country, which is a plus for us. Not only is it a small country, the location of Israel is very important. With a one long flight, you can visit Israel and combine it with many of other countries around us, which is a plus for our destination. Our company, we offer pilgrimage tours, tailor-made tours that will be customized to your needs and to your clients' needs. We have a guaranteed weekly departures that works for your individual clients. We have day tours, MICE, and we have tours for special needs groups that we operate. We have a couple of buses in our fleet that are handicapped enabled. We can replace the seats with wheelchairs, and they have lifts. Our services include a group travel arrangement, accommodation, excursion and activities, guiding services, and airport transfers and VIP service. Okay, this is a small introduction to our company. Now I'm just gonna briefly speak about Israel and the domestic tourism, which has been operating since Israel decided to open the economy a little bit. It started in late May, and domestic travel was the first to start to reopen, since Israel is still closed to tourists. And basically, for me, it's a practice rehearsal for the grand opening. We hope that it will be very soon. All the travel industry, including hotels, the transportation companies, guides, a travel agent, all are adhering very well to the health and safety regulation set by the Israeli government, and it's we are succeeding in adhering to these regulations, and the numbers speak for itself. Although, as Gal mentioned, numbers are a little bit higher in Israel, but the percentage out of that numbers that got infected at the hotels or at buses or at tours are very, very low. So the people in the travel industry are working according to the book, because we are very hopeful that soon everything will be reopened and we will be ready to accommodate tourists from all over the world, and especially Canada. So here are some of the, I'm not gonna list them all because I don't have time. And these are the most important ones. All of the staff at the hotel underwent a special guidance to adhere to the new regulations. The entrance to the hotel, whether you are a guest or a non-guest, are submitted only with a temperature measurement and wearing a face mask. All public areas in the hotels are thoroughly and frequently disinfected and cleaned, with focus on the main areas such as reception, spa, with elevator buttons, door handles, etc., etc. Also, there's a big focus on the dining rooms, adhering to the guidelines of the Ministry of Health, of separating 1 to 1.5 to 2 meters between each table, allocating times so not all the guests at the hotel are there at once, separating dining rooms using meeting halls in the hotel as makeshift dining rooms in order to split the guests as much as possible and to make social distancing as much as possible. Sanitizers, hand sanitizers, and disinfectant are spread all over the hotels and in the guest rooms. Entrance to swimming pools at the hotels are permitted only with another temperature test, and you must be wearing face masks all over the hotel, except for when you are in the water, in the spa, or you're in your room, or while eating and drinking. Other than that, you must be with a face mask. Okay, now this about the hotels. Let's continue to the transportation, and we are experts in that because besides being a travel agency, we have our own buses that we operate. We have both private and public transportation. So by the time Israel reopens, we are already experts in handling groups with a post-COVID-19 era. According to the Ministry of Health, the coach capacity is limited to 50% or up to 30 passengers for large buses to ensure social distancing. Bus drivers, our passengers are required to wear face masks at all time. And now, as a travel agents, we are already recommending to recommend to our clients to allocate seats for each passengers, no rotation. Although some travel agencies for our clients prefer to rotate, but now we prefer not to. Buses will be thoroughly cleaned and disinfected following every tour, as well as daily disinfection of handles and places that clients will touch by the bus driver himself. Each bus will be equipped with alcohol and disinfection dispensers, and passengers will be encouraged to disinfect upon entering and exiting the bus. Now about sites and attractions. According to the Ministry of Health, sites and attractions will undergo a thorough and frequent disinfection, with emphasis on elevators if they exist, door handles, handrails, and public restrooms. Face masks, as well as temperature checks, are mandatory, and upon entering the site, there is a certain quota for people that are allowed in each site at any given time. And in order to regulate it and monitor it, now we have to book all entrances in advance to all sites, even the sites that did not require pre-booking. Now it's mandatory. Otherwise, they will not be allowed to enter. Us as travel agents, we are in the middle of devising protocols and guidelines for our staff, and including the travel agents that are working in our offices, our guides, and our drivers, on all the safety measures and health regulations that we follow the guidelines of our government, of course. In the office, physical distance is a must. And we ensure our suppliers, restaurants, hotels, all other sites and attractions that are upholding and follow the guidelines that are set by the Ministry of Health. And on other notice, we are also starting to devise an emergency plan, COVID-19 plan, in collaboration with our suppliers and partners, in case we have a certain new case while on tour in the future. This is from experience I'm speaking. One of our last groups that was here in March. We had a COVID-19 case amongst the group members, and it was we were not ready to handle it, and it was a chaotic thing. Eventually, we took care of the client, but that's why it's very important to be ready when Israel reopens to deal with such cases and not just have everything chaotic and nobody understands what to do. Okay, now just a brief introduction about some of the classical itineraries to Israel. There is, the classic itinerary that is mainly for the Catholic market. It's basically a 8-day, 7 nights. That's arrival in Ben Gurion Airport, travel up north, either to Nazareth or Tiberias. Both cities are suitable, and Catholics welcome to stay there. You have 2 to 3 nights up north where you visit Nazareth, you visit the Sea of Galilee, you visit Mount Tabor, the important sites, and you start driving down south to Jerusalem to spend the rest of the time there. Next we will have a classical evangelical itinerary, which is a little bit longer. That includes the first night in Tel Aviv. Then we drive up north to Tiberias for a couple of nights, visit the sites, visit the Golan Heights. Megiddo is very important for the evangelicals. Then we continue driving down south with for this market, a night in the Dead Sea is very welcome. And of course, almost every tour ends in Jerusalem, the most important city in the world, I think. Another classic itinerary, as I mentioned before, we have the location of our country is very important and allows our clients to visit multiple countries at the same time they are here without flying long distance flights again, especially from the North American market and the Far East market, which is the classical itinerary with a Petra extension. And what we can offer for the FIT market, the individuals, they can stay in one city. I showed you, I'm giving you here examples of staying in Eilat. With what can the client do while staying in Eilat besides enjoying the stay at the resort, which is tours to the Dead Sea, to Petra, to Santa Caterina in Sinai, and to Jerusalem as well. It's a very short. These all are day trips. So the location of Eilat, you can do all of these. Another option for the individual market is staying in Jerusalem, of course. And you can see here you have multiple options. I included just a few of them. Whether you can travel to the Dead Sea and enjoy floating for a day and visit Masada, or you can drive up north to visit Nazareth and the Sea of Galilee and see the history, the culture, and of course the religion. There are multiple tours inside Jerusalem. You can see the old city, the new city, museums. You can even go on a tour to Bethlehem, which is nearby, and another tour up north to the coast, up north to the coast, to Haifa, Acre, and Caesarea. And the same options apply for staying in Tel Aviv as well. So you have the same tours that leave from these two cities that your individual client can join while he's enjoying the stay in either Tel Aviv or Jerusalem. Basically, that's it. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the opportunity.
Wow, thank you so much. That was great. So interesting to get such a comprehensive overview of Israel. Okay, just reminding agents, if you have a question, please type it in the Q&A box, and we're just going to go through these quickly. Okay, I think the first question, can you guys just confirm what is happening in Israel, and can someone with a Canadian passport get in the country now, or when will they be allowed to?
So for now, the international borders are still closed for non-Israelis. We do hope that in the near future we'll see some change in that regard, but for now they can't go. We hope that by the fall we will see a positive trend because Canada is a green country. So I guess that once the borders will be reopened, Canada will be in the top of the list. We are working in the bilateral level as well. directly between the government of Canada and the government of Israel to make sure that the borders between the countries and the international flights will restart as soon as possible. So I hope that I will have a positive news in the near future, but for now it's still closed. Yes.
Okay, we have an agent here, and they had a client that was booked for this April, but it had to get canceled. When would you recommend they reschedule? This agent was suggesting April 2021 and wanted to know if you would agreed with that.
What our policy currently is to try and to postpone all bookings for 2021. So in that regard, to April 2021 would be okay. Sharif, do you have any other recommendations? Someone who deals specifically with that?
I also recommend postponing to 2021 because basically we already postponed so many tours. Us and our competitors in the field postponed so many tours to September, October, November. So this year. So I recommend 2021. Okay,
that's great. When flying El Al, do clients have to wear a mask the entire flight, and are they still serving meals?
For now, El Al is not operating. We are working on a government aid to make sure that they will restart working as soon as possible. But for now, no. What I know that from other international carriers that yes, you need to wear your mask during the flights, and the food options are a bit different than usual. So it's still too soon, I guess, to say how international travel would look like in the post-COVID-19 world, but we see that yes, there are bigger gaps between the passengers. You need to wear your mask all the time. But from some of my colleagues' experience when they traveled from the US to Israel, they shared with me that the experience wasn't bad. As opposed to what some would think. They said that it's comfortably fine. The staff knows how to deal with that. So again, I think that the entire industry is adapting and evolving into dealing better with the pandemic outcomes. And we will see it getting better and better as time will pass.
Okay, that's great. Yes, I've heard from a lot of people that have been on planes, and they said, the experience was fine. Is the Dead Sea shrinking?
That's a question that I need to inquire. I know that Israel is taking a lot of money, and in my previous role, I dealt with that in specific. So Israel is investing a lot of money to make sure that the Dead Sea as a natural wonder would remain. We are making every effort possible. There are some, I would say, natural phenomena that we can't predict. And so it's a challenge, but Israel is dealing all within its powers to make sure that the Dead Sea won't shrink. And in 2009 and 20, actually, we had a very good year when it comes to raining. So we had a lot of rain. So we are optimistic that it will affect the Dead Sea as well, because it's from the Jordan River. It flows south from the Sea of Galilee into the Sea of Galilee, from the Sea of Galilee, sorry, south to the Dead Sea, which increased the level of water.
Okay, that's great. An agent wants to know, when you're in these beautiful cities, is it better to just kind of wander around on your own, or because there's so much history, is it really better to get a guide?
Sharif?
Of course, I would say get a guide. No, but you can do both. You can do both. You can, if you're traveling on your own, you can maybe book one of the tours that operate on a daily basis in Jerusalem or in Tel Aviv or whatever. And on your other days, you can continue exploring the city. With the little information you got from the guide on that tour, you can continue and explore the city on your own.
I agree. I want to add to that Israel it's a long haul destination. It's not something that you will go often back and forth. So if you are going to a destination with such a rich culture and history, make sure that you embrace everything. And in that regard, we have diverse opportunities for guidance from travel tech apps that you can download to your audio, to your phone, to hear that and walk through a graffiti tour, a culinary tour, or even a faith-based tour via the old city of Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, or other cities in Israel. So I would recommend that if you did made the effort to come all the way to Israel, give it the extra mile and go with the tour guide, at least some of the trip, if not everything, to make it the best.
Okay, that's great. Okay, Sharif, a double part question for you. What commission do you pay agents, and what group size do you normally cater to?
Okay, before the COVID-19 or after? No, the group size varies depending on our clients. Some of our clients prefer the smaller groups for the experience. Let's say up to between 25 and 30. This is the optimal size for a group in order for them to enjoy the experience. And for let's say a closed group like a church group or something, the numbers can be higher, like 40, 45. We have buses to accommodate all sizes of groups. Commission. Okay, I don't know if this is the place to talk about commission, but we usually work with clients on a net basis, net prices, and you add your commission when you sell it to your end client.
Okay. All right. Do we want to move to pricing? Gal, do you want to let the agents know what they can win since they stayed here the whole webinar?
Yeah, just one message before we conclude everything is that we tried as much as we can to make this webinar both informative and inspiring, but also practical. So that's thank you, Sharif, for
thank you for the opportunity.
Practical messages. I think that in the near future, when people will start to travel, we see a more demand in using travel agents when people will book abroad, because they would need a sense of security traveling. And I think that Israel right now has, as I said, the best, and it's the ideal time to book to Israel. The places are not as crowded as what it used to be. We invested a lot of funds in elevating the different infrastructures and elevating the different sites. So don't wait. Tell your clients that if they want to go, and they should want to go, they need to book it as soon as possible before everything will be back to usual, and the experience won't be as good as it can be when they will be the first one to arrive. Personally, I can share with you that when I went now to Montreal, to Quebec, to Mont-Saint-Tremblant, I was one of the first clients they had in the hotel and the resort, and the smiling faces and the fact that the nature was still very pure after such a long absence of tourists, that made it something different, completely different. And I'm saying that when you will be the first international travel to go to the Holy Sepulchre, when you will be the first international travel to go to do the Jesus Trail, or to see the Capernaum, you will have a different, much more strong experience you will have. And the people of Israel and the tourism industry can't wait to welcome, and they will appreciate the first to come. Now to the prize. So what we will do is we will see from the agents that stayed up until now, and we appreciate everyone who stayed. We will draw a name of one of the participants, and we will send him via the email a note of winning the trophy, and we will send him via the email, via a mail, in kind of a post or something. We will send him the trophy.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much, Gal and Sharif. I can see from the comments coming in, all the agents are just saying that they've been there before and they can't wait to go back because it's such a beautiful destination. So we have the contact details up there. If you have any further questions, agents out there, please feel free to email them directly, and we're going to get in touch with the lucky prize winner. So thank you so much for teaching us so much about Israel today. And agents, stay tuned for more Travel Week webinars coming up in the future. Bye, everyone.
Bye.